A sword forged using secret techniques known only to one family. The family's secret was jealously guarded, and no stranger was allowed to learn it. Hoping to discover how the sword was made, a soldier from an enemy kingdom joined the family. His plan was to steal the secret and return it to his own country. But the young soldier fell in love with the family's daughter, and he could not bear to part from her. He confessed his plot and begged her to flee with him back to his country. But when the daughter heard his scheme, she murdered the soldier and then took her own life, and so was the secret of the sword kept within the family. During the first moon, it smashed the legs of 100 men, women, and children. During the second moon, it smashed the arms of 100 men, women, and children. During the third moon, it smashed the heads of 100 men, women, and children. In the fourth moon, nothing was left but a lake of blood, and a mace dripping with liquefied flesh. This sword was forged as an instrument of revenge by the swordsmith whose family was slain by demons. It sucks in the soul of its victims to grow stronger and stronger. The skilled swordsmith was commanded by the king to make a sword to behead demons, but as he struggled to craft the famous weapon, demons appeared at his home. The demons, enraged that such a sword was being made and determined that none should ever wield it, slaughtered the swordsmith family and left him alive to weep over their bloody remains. Burning with revenge, the swordsmith left the corpses where they lay and crafted the demon slayer, but the madman who gripped the weapon was little more than a demon himself. There was once a wind spirit who fell in love with a mortal man. Though it was against all the laws of her race, each day she allowed her love and passion to grow. The spirit was condemned to death for her betrayal of her race. The Lord of Spirits sent vassals to carry out the sentence, armed with a bardish enchanted to slay spirits. Sensing that her life was in danger, the spirit made one last visit to the man she loved, then fled through the forests and seas and mountains, pursued all the while by her would-be executioners. Some years later, a healthy young boy was seen playing around the village. This remarkable boy could control the very winds. His father never told him who his mother was. In the twisted, misshapen blade of the sword lies an evil curse. With it is the hate of a woman who used it to slay herself and the lover who betrayed her. All who take up the sword are bewitched, and against their own will they find they must slaughter others without mercy. Only by cutting off their own arm can the curse be broken. When a victim cuts off his arm, his soul becomes a part of the blade. He is able to wield it with nothing but the power of his own thoughts. Only one other way exists to break the curse of the sword. If the spirit of the girl were to fall in love with the wielder, then she would lift the spell. But no man has yet won her love. Due to the scheming of vassals, an unwilling princess was sent to be married in a neighboring land. On the way to the wedding, her caravan was set upon by a gang of thieves hired to kill her. Against the determined brigands, the princess's guard had no defense, but as the death blow was about to be struck, a guard sacrificed his own life and summoned a storm dragon. By the time the storm dragon had slain all the bandits, the guard had breathed his last. The dragon imbued his hammer with his own strength and the soul of the soldier who had created him. Then, in accordance with the soldier's dying wish, the princess bore the hammer with her into battle, wreaking dread revenge on her treacherous vassals. An Imperial archaeologist unearthed this weapon's blade from the ruins of an ancient holy place, believed to be the fossilized remains of some beast. The substance was incredibly hard. With great care and reverence, the scientists tried to sharpen the hook, but the substance was impervious to fire, to acid, and to all of the tools of his workshop. Driven mad by the unwielding substance that sat reproachfully before him, the scientist smashed it against his head again and again until he fell dead of his wounds. The darkly glimmering substance was the claw of an earth dragon, and only human blood could sharpen its edge. And so, for ignorance, did another scientist die. There were once two bandit brothers whose infamy was known both near and far. With 200 men at their command, none dared stand against them. One autumn, they began to terrorize a mountain village. The desperate villagers appealed to a traveling mage for help. The mage announced that he would help the villagers, but in exchange, he would require a village girl as his wife. The mage then gave his mace to the brothers as a gift. No sooner had they accepted it and they began to fight. The whole gang took up arms, and in the end, not one bandit survived. But instead of giving him his reward, the villagers slew the mage. Soon thereafter, an evil plague fell upon them and left not one soul alive. Only the cursed mace remained. There are a number of elements that determine one's own will. Conceptual objects, scientific facts, and empirical realities all play a role when considering any immediate question. Hypothetically, in the regulation of judgment or in process towards facts concerning the question, any thinker can acquire a rough estimate or intuition based on personal experience. Alternatively, the process is under the control of reason, what selection to make, on what issue to focus, and so on. In other words, the methods of fact consideration, judgment, and reasoning. Only those who understand the foregoing have power to understand thought or sense and recognize its worth in others and in themselves, thus achieving true and justifiable belief. The leader of warriors seeks out their death. Deep in his heart fall the tears of heaven. The lakes of blood glimmer like beacons in the dark. The lesson steals life and blesses it anew. A long time ago, there were twin gods who gave men the gift of fire and knowledge, and protected him with their wisdom. But mankind fell into corruption, and the twin gods became wrathful. They sent storms and floods to destroy the cities, and great fires to burn the plains. Acknowledging their sinful ways, the people offered this great axe in penitence. It was a charmed offering, washed in the blood of sacrificed twin children. The gods turned the soul of the young twins into stars. Then they sealed the stars within this axe, a grim reminder to mankind that he must never again fall into sin. There was once a great merchant who sailed all the 7 seas, discovering new lands, trading around the world. This merchant amassed a fortune beyond all compare. One day, the merchant heard of an enchanted weapon known to some as the Dark Summoner. It was said that this sword was hidden in the ocean to the south, a land swallowed in ages past. The merchant set out, resolved to find the rare and valuable sword. After many adventures and much hardship, he found it at last. The sword was impaled in the mouth of a demon statue. Suddenly, bolts of hellfire flew from the sword, and the merchant's ship sank into the watery abyss. Weeks later, his corpse was washed up upon the shore, the scimitar clutched reproachfully in his hand. This is the largest sword in the world, too heavy for any mere mortal to lift. It is believed that till now, no warrior has been able to wield it. It was ordered forged by the warlord Vak the Pitiless. Made from the melted armor of his vanquished enemies, the sword announced Vak's might and grandeur to the world. The sword grew heavier each time it took a life, and it gradually became more and more difficult to wield. At last, even its mighty owner could no longer swing it. One morning, Vak the Pitiless was found dead. Beside him, dripping with flesh and dyed scarlet with blood, lay the sword. Who had managed to raise the mighty weapon against him? This Bardish is imbued with the mighty anger of the Storm God. Any victim that has the misfortune to be caught in the tempest will have his very flesh and blood blown clean off his bones. In a small village, there lived a boy who could control the winds. Hearing of this, the jealous Storm God came down to earth and challenged the boy to a duel of magic. They agreed to see who would be the first to remove a passing knight's cloak. While the god tried to blow a storm to tear the cloak away, the boy simply summoned a warm breeze that made the knight take off his cloak. Enraged that he lost to a mere mortal, the storm god summoned a wind that blew so hard, nothing was left of the boy but his bones. At the same time, the storm of rage entered the knight's Bardish.